am trained in industrial design, but minored in psychology and kind of shifted my focus more towards research.
So I'm Angie, and as Casey mentioned, I'm currently the director of UX instruction at Prime Academy, and there's some Prime alums in the room, so shout out. And current students. Been there since July. So here's what I thought we'd kind of talk through a little bit about our career path, a little bit about our daily work, the good, the bad, the ugly. Try to focus on the good. And then finding meaning in our work, so why do we stay there? So we'll just start with, see, this is why I can slide. So I guess first, Abby and I were talking about maybe we should define what UX is. But since we're teachers, we thought we would turn it over to you guys. So, you ladies and gentlemen. So, does anybody want to venture a guess as to what UX is or what it means to you? Or it's not a guess, just self-define it. How many of you have heard of the term? Okay, awesome. So you have some connotation of what it is, right?
So what is it to you guys? What do you think when you hear UX? There's no right or
wrong. Understanding what a user needs from a resource or an application or whatever it is that they're looking at.
Okay. Yep.
Empathy to the user.
Empathy to the user. Good.
Making it easy for the user.
Easy.
Making it effective.
Effective. Yep.
Mediating between and accommodating the needs and desires of the business end and the user end.
Designing according to their expectations.
That's huge.
Anything else?
I think of it as translation.
Of?
Translating. It's translating. I gave a talk a little while ago and now I can't remember any of it.
It's okay. Brain don't work at night.
Yeah. No, seriously, it's gone. I was talking about how our job as developers, or in my previous life as a librarian, was to translate the resources and the materials and how the machines think of them and how they use them and make them work into a language that the user understood and how they expected it to work and wanted it to work and needed it to work. So it's sort of like translation or liaison as a role.
I was going to say an organization that could be a business or whatever that anticipates the needs of the consumer or the user maybe before they even know they need it. That's important.
Yeah, Susan.
Marketing concepts applied to technology.
Do you come from a marketing background? No.
How did you guess?
Marketing. You guys are sure? Yeah.
I'm not sure what we were going to get.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could talk a little bit about career path, but like I've heard this definition evolve over time, and it's really neat to see. I mean, are any of you UX practitioners right now? One. And you didn't even answer, so that's so from people who do not call themselves or label themselves in that category, you're all saying things that I would say are completely valid. So you get it from a definition level. Do you guys want to, ladies, offer your own personal definition?
I liked the idea of translation. I kind of think of that as well, where you take what the business requirements are and translate that into something that is enjoyable and usable for your end user, whoever that may be. So I really like that translation was brought up.
I really like the empathy part because part of my job is to go out in the field and understand people, what troubles them, what do they need to do, what are their goals. And I'll bring that back to our business, our designers, all those people that make a product that's appropriate and applicable and something that people want to use. So I like the empathy a lot.
I personally am trying to kind of, I have a lot of little definitions, like understanding how things affect people, like the effect they have on people's lives. And often I think about, I'm holding in my head trying to make something that's meaningful. So sometimes the meaningful is pleasurable or enjoyable, sometimes the meaningful is challenging, sometimes the meaningful is incredibly efficient. depending on the context. So it's like Megan mentioned, going out into the field, being like somebody else's environment and understanding what's meaningful to them. And then you gain that empathy and can translate that back to the business and mediate all of these pieces to create something that's meaningful and viable for the business or makes money for the business. I think we're all in the business of making money on some level, right? I mean, we're not doing it for no monetary gain, but if it can be meaningful for people, that's where I see the user experience being. Any other questions on defining it? Or thoughts? So that just gives you some sort of context when we talk about it, because I think we can really flippantly like just throw it around, but all of the things you said are true, and then we shed a little bit on what that is. So getting a little bit more into career path, we all kind of mentioned a little bit about where we came from, but just thought one at a time we could share our last 5 to 10 years of our career path, how we got to where we are.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
looking at all of us. I just can't hear myself.
So I have what I consider a bizarre career trajectory. I'm going to go back a little bit more than 5 years because I was in graduate school and that was basically my life for a long time. So before I went to graduate school, I was a certified veterinary technician and I worked in emergency veterinary hospital and in the U of M's ICU overnight. And I decided that I was tired of working 12 to 16 hours for $0 and getting pooped on and bitten. And so I decided to go to graduate school, and
Was that a change?
But the no money thing
Yeah.
stayed. I really discovered a passion for teaching and doing research, and that's where I honed all of my research skills. And then I realized that being a professor is like being a rock star or a NBA player or something. There are no jobs. So I was like, okay, so how can I reimagine my experience and my knowledge into something that would be a viable career path? And I started investigating user experience. And so I started meeting people. I met Angie. I met a bunch of other people, and got myself into a customer experience role at Best Buy, which I did not like. It wasn't sold to me as the role that I thought it was. And then Angie actually helped me get my current role at C.H. Robinson. Yeah. And so now I'm on a user experience team where we kind of do everything, but I'm one of the research specialists on the team. And so that's how I got from dogs and cats and to truck drivers.
So as I said, I'm trained in industrial design, but the thought of making cell phone cases over and over again for the rest of my life, years. But when one of the classes I took was taught by an adjunct professor that she worked at Echo Design in New York as a researcher, so I was talking to her, super interested. For our senior thesis, we had one term that was solely research, one term that was actually creating, and one term that was refining and presenting our work. As much fun as like the design and creating part was, I really enjoyed going out and meeting people. My thesis was around people with arthritis, so I don't personally have issues with my hands, but I know lots of people who do. So it was super interesting to get out of my own shoes and into other people's and really understand what makes like picking up a book so difficult and painful and why people still do it. So super interesting. And then I worked at a small leather goods, like 3-people shop, helped make bags and purses and create tech packs, which was fun, but I was also getting paid no money because I was hourly intern. And got connected with my current job and had to move to Minnesota because it was an awesome opportunity, and what I really wanted to do was research, so that's how I got here.
You want to talk about your internship?
Yeah, I actually interned while I was still in school with Honeywell in Shanghai, and I did lots of random stuff. So I did model making, I did some graphics, I did a couple like online research projects. I don't actually speak Chinese, so I couldn't actually research anything with anyone there. But like, if you can go to Shanghai, go. It's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
I feel like each of you could talk for like 10 minutes about your career path. You just talked about it for like 30 So I'll talk for 25 minutes. So you should ask, all of you should ask follow-up questions of these ladies because they're very interesting and they have a lot of skills and very specific skills. And you know, their career paths just got the truncated version. So
Yeah.
don't hesitate to ask questions. So let's see, where should I begin? So I went to school. I am a little bit more of a traditionally trained designer. So I went, Megan is too, but I went to school at the U. I was there for like 14 years. So I went to school there for undergrad.
Me too.
Yeah. And my husband's still there finishing up his PhD. So anyway, so I got my bachelor's of science in graphic design back in the day. And it was housed in the College of Human Ecology at the U, which is now the College of Design. But what fascinated me, why I went into design, was like it was called design communication before it was graphic design, and I was really fascinated with art with a purpose, or like visuals with purpose. As I was dubbed the like creative person or artistic, and I don't think I'm very artistic, but I like being given limitations and constraints, and then trying to like wow people within that. So went to school for graphic design. In the College of Human Ecology, they talked a lot about like everything in that college was about the design environment and the design human experiences. So there was family social science in there. There was kind of like policy level stuff. You had housing studies. You had interior design, apparel design, not fashion design, but apparel design. So thinking about like the things that clothe us, the things that house us, the structures that kind of define us, and then I was in graphic design, which was the visual side of that communication. But I loved being in the College of Human Ecology. I kind of mourned the loss of it when it became the College of Design, because it felt like more of a buzzword than anything. But in any case, so I got my undergrad in graphic design. Then I was working for a while and was working with creating online learning materials and doing like instructional design and marketing, wearing a bajillion different hats in the College of Pharmacy for continuing ed for pharmacists. And I was working with really smart PharmD people, actually many, I think all of them were women, and I was helping them translate concepts that were really difficult for their students to learn into like interactive things. So I was fascinated with like, what is the thing that people are really having a hard time learning? Like, what's the hurdle that your students can't get over? And then trying to think of different ways that we could create learning materials to kind of flip that mental model on its head, or like, you know, leverage what they knew and then teach them something new. So as I was doing that, I was like, I kind of want to be more of an expert like these people are. So I went back to school at the U, which I went to the U because I could go there for free, because at that time they had a Regents scholarship, so if you worked there, you could go to school for free. So I did that, and got an MFA in interactive design, or interaction design. And that's when I started thinking about like what Sam was saying, like these relationships and mediating things, and kind of taking it out of interactivity and thinking about interactions between people and things, or people and other people, or right, and trying to be really big picture, which was not very popular in the program. It was like, this is about websites. And I was like, no, it's not. Guess who has a job? So anyway, so I was in that, and then I started teaching to kind of quit my job and started teaching, doing contract work to supplement my grad school teaching salary. But I loved teaching.
Yes, that is a salary.
Yeah. But they paid the tuition. So I really loved teaching and doing that translation to people trying to learn the craft. And I did a lot of consulting with nonprofits, small businesses, arts organizations, I was always straddling practice and design, practice and education, because I thought I didn't know which one to give up. After 8 years of doing that, I left the U. And I ended up at Honeywell, which is where I met Megan. And I was on their UX design team, user experience team, in a UX research role. So I had been kind of scrapping together a lot of methods to figure out how to make the things I was making better, knowing that like just critiquing with my peers or like me following best practices was not enough. So I was doing a lot of like guerrilla research and with my contract work and going out and getting that feedback. So joining the team at Honeywell was awesome because we had big budgets and we had the opportunity to go into context and it was supported, maybe not listened to all the time, but we were able to travel and to go face to face with people who were interacting with our products and our experiences and actually translate that back to the design team. So it wasn't in a design role anymore or in a like tactical role, but I was helping inform strategy and communicate back to the interactive designers, industrial designers, visual designers, yeah, mostly product and digital. So, yeah, everybody. Then I was at Honeywell for a year and a half before leaving to go to Prime. All that time at Honeywell, I still, I missed teaching a little bit, not a ton. I was pretty burnt out after 8 years. But I was approached by Prime, to create a program to help to specifically focus on the problem of, like, we have a field that's booming in the Twin Cities. We've got, a ton of industries that need practitioners. There's one program, nationally accredited program to get a degree in user experience design. And so otherwise it's graduate degrees, right? And so we have a very bloated, senior heavy field, and yet we have a lot of problems to solve. And I think plenty of people who have a high level of empathy and an interest in how things work together and UX pulls from every other discipline, or many other disciplines. So I think there's a huge opportunity to educate people at all levels around how to be a practitioner in this field and offer value to many different organizations. So I've been at Prime since July. We launched our first UX cohort January 23rd, I think. I don't know. We're in the 13th week of an 18-week program. And our second cohort starts online next week. So, yeah. So that's exciting. Looking for instructors, so if anybody's interested or knows somebody, maybe we have some job openings there, but it's been I've had a pretty focused path into what I've been doing, but I think I'm not the norm. But I can see I can talk for 25 minutes. Any questions on anything any of us shared? Things that are clear?
Or anything you want to know more about.
Don't make eye contact. Abby and I are really good at that.
I used to tell my students, victim or volunteer.
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like a good area to get into, like, especially like later on in your career. It's like it seems like a good career to get into if you're looking to change careers, because there's so many past lives that can be informative. It sounds like there's so many experiences that go into user experience. So
Absolutely.
cool. So that shouldn't be intimidating.
Given your varied backgrounds, do any of you have the opportunity to look at resumes of new UX designers applying for positions? And if so, given the fact that there are a lot of ways in at a junior level, what experience do you look at positively as an indication somebody would be of interest to you moving into that?
So I can talk about this because we actually just hired 2 people onto our team. So one thing that our team has done has gone to an HCI master's program, Human Computer Interaction, and they actually recruit from that program. So we have a couple of alums from that program at Indiana University in our program. And so that's one thing that they do. They go and for my team, cultural fit is really important. So, I mentioned that Angie helped me get in at Robinson because she had that personal connection with the hiring manager. They were more willing to look at my resume as a whole and then ask me about how I saw my experience fitting in on their team and in that role. And they specifically asked me what I was weakest on and didn't seem to have a problem with it. So when we were looking to hire, we basically just hired a full-time UI UX person. She mostly does development. And she's more junior. And the 2 more senior developers on the team were kind of like, but she doesn't have a lot of experience. But in the interview, she handled herself really well in that she took their challenges and said, I don't know that answer, but I can go find it and come back to you with it, with an answer of how I would go about coding that or solving that problem, or this is how I'm going to think through this problem that you're giving me. And so they looked at the fact that she wasn't afraid to ask questions, wasn't afraid to say, I don't know that, but I'll find out, and wasn't afraid to try stuff and get it wrong, and then go back and figure out what happened. So I think it really depends on the team. I will say, because I'm probably the most recent out of the three of us to get into UX, I've had a lot of people look at my resume and say, I don't know what the hell to do with you, and never mind. So it's kind of, if you have experience that doesn't seem especially pertinent to UX specifically, you're going to have to do a lot of networking and making connections and helping people understand what you bring to the role, because people looked at my resume and said, Professor, I don't get it. You know, so like, linguistics, what is that? Words? I don't, what? So, I mean, I wouldn't say that you would be dismissed completely from every single UX team in the Twin Cities, but it might take a little bit more work to get yourself noticed if you don't have traditional UX type of experience. Like, you're not a visual designer, you're not a graphic designer, you're not someone that does that sort of thing. So it is easier to transition into this field, I think, than some other ones. Like, you know, I couldn't apply for a job being a developer. I have zero idea how to code anything. And so there's no way I could be like, hi, hire me. And he'd be like, yeah, okay, what are you doing? But in UX, there are a lot of transferable skills. You just have to know how to get yourself in there and how to market yourself to people, because cold applying probably won't get you very far.
I'd say definitely how you market yourself, how you write your resume is super important, because someone in a marketing role can be super applicable, and it's about, I work to understand my customers, and this is what I do, this is how I approach it. It's all about framing. Sell yourself.
And then once you get into the interview, then, you know, how to talk about yourself and sell yourself and explain why you would be a good fit.
Yeah, I haven't done any hiring recently, but I've met with God knows how many organizations that hire when we were creating the UX program. So there's a difference between, like, if you're working with somebody in staffing and recruiting, or you're working directly with the hiring manager, and how informed or how new the UX practice is to that organization. But one thing I'll say, like, so their big things are like related experience. So which, if you have experience, you can probably spin it to be related. That's the amazing thing about the field. You just maybe get a career coach or like somebody to get their eyes on it and craft what you're saying. So related experience, really important. All the things that Abby said, yes. Telling a good story. Then on the side of the people who might be hiring you, who really are like true practitioners, because there are people who will be interviewing or be hiring or be scanning who aren't practitioners. But if you get in front of a practitioner, I will say one thing that stands out is the mindset. And oftentimes, like, if you're going to stuff like this and you're kind of interested and you're like, oh my gosh, it kind of sounds like me, you take some classes or you go to more events and you have what we call the light bulb moment. Fred Beecher, he's the director of experience design at the Nerdery, and he and I are good friends, and he had the UX apprenticeship program that is now no longer at the Nerdery, but he and I would talk. He'd be like, Angie, you have a student, I saw they had the light bulb moment while I was talking to them, like, and when you talk to people who, like, all of a sudden, like, the whole world comes into focus, and they're like, I know how to apply the way that I think is a job. Like, it's a thing that can be used to do other things, right? And it's just like, whoa, mind-blowing, right? So if you've had that light bulb moment, or you find yourself having that light bulb moment, know that that in and of itself has value, and have that conversation around that or regarding that with practitioners, because they can be your allies or help you craft or refine or like find the right place to interview or find the right person to talk to. Maybe they're not even hiring right now, but like they're going to grow their team, or they have an opening for a visual designer, but they're like, actually, we really love you. You know, like, you sound like we don't even need this. We just want you. So they want your brain, more than anything, they want how you think.
Hard skills can be taught.
Yeah, the hard, totally.
I will second, third, whatever, all of that. I met with lots and lots of people when I was looking to transition out of academia and into UX, and I've had lots of people help me frame my past experience into something that would sound good to a hiring manager. You know, I've had people look at my resume and say, oh, you should really put this higher up because this is way more applicable than this thing right here. It doesn't matter if it's out of chronological order. You want to make sure you're showcasing this one experience, or tell me what this means. I don't know this term. Oh, that's this thing in UX.
Yeah.
So, but make it say that.
Yeah.
You know, so having these connections can be really, really helpful. And if you are making a transition into a field like UX and reframing, translating your experience from something that might sound non-applicable, even if it is, to something that definitely sounds applicable.
What are the jobs? Like, what?
I have
no,
a list.
seriously though, like,
Yeah.
what? So, in my background is as a librarian. I do have an interest in a, relative understanding of UX. I also went to Prime, so I have a, basic development background. Like, what am I looking for? What
Oh my gosh, ready?
job title is?
Pull up my
That's such a
flash. Yeah.
minefield.
Have like
Anyway,
a Star
but
Wars
seriously.
style,
Yeah.
like swirling titles.
Not even kidding.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I think I came up real quickly with a list of like 26 that were legitimate titles.
It's really frustrating.
So, UXer user experience, strategist, architect, information architect, interaction designer, interactive designer, UX UI developer, UX designer, UI designer, product designer, product owner, product strategy.
Could you tell the difference between UX and UI?
User interface usually implies that you know how to code. So UI is usually a developer. So if it says UX/UI, you should probably know how to code to apply for that job, but maybe not.
UX part
Yeah, I
of
would say
more
not.
research and strategy? Is that?
Also design,
Design.
yeah, it gets kind of muddy.
It gets super muddy.
I guess that's kind of what I'm asking. Is just
Yep.
like, what?
Is that like a front end developer?
Yes.
Kind of
Yeah,
like UI is front end developer.
Maybe.
Well,
Because I've known
But with
UI
UX,
designers
yeah.
who are visual designers of, so UI stands for user interface.
Mhm.
So it's the widgets and the things and the components on a site or an app. So I've known UI designers who are not doing any development,
Mhm.
who are doing the visual skin and layout and scaling and the sizing, and then UI developers who are kind of like front end developers who are doing the coding and development of that skin.
so reading the job description will be important because titles are so weird. So it would say, if it says UX/UI, it'll say must know CSS and SAS and HTML and blah, blah, blah. So,
But it'll also say that for like a UX researcher.
yeah.
Would prefer to have HTML. So like you have to take,
Okay.
if you're interested in this, you have to like close your eyes and just apply
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is a hot
Mess.
mess.
People actually like hiring for the jobs, like the manager, aren't always the ones that write the job description for
Right.
HR, and they have no idea what
The HR just
It's
dumped
just
in
like
everything.
Yeah, they do like a Google search for terms and then like go, okay, let's dump all that into our job ad.
And sometimes
That's
get to, okay. Sometimes depending on the maturity of the organization, they don't exactly know what they want, which is a huge thing that we've run into with building the program at Prime. So they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink in and then saying, senior or lead, 3 years experience. Like, it's just like everything's a mismatch. It doesn't make any sense. It's the Wild West. It's crazy. So do your research on the company, meet with anybody you can meet with at the company, get to, ask them questions about, how are your teams formed? Who's on your team? Stuff like that, or like, who do you work with? Are you housed in engineering? Are you with marketing? Do you have product owners? Some of those are like really nuanced questions, but the more you can meet with people, you get to understand their culture and like their mission and how they work together.
What's that? Also, if you meet with them, if they don't have a job today, they might have one in a week or two, whatever weeks down the road. They might be like, oh, and I liked her, but not for this role. Like maybe the upcoming one. So
Mhm.
that's good.
Can I jump in really quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to play off of that, like just close your eyes and apply, and especially because we have majority women here, I think we all know that there's a statistic out there that women will not apply for a job that you don't think they're qualified for, so that's my challenge to you for 2017. If anybody's looking for a job, just apply. Because there was one girl who applied for a more senior level development job, but she wasn't qualified for it, but they liked her so much they created a job for her.
Yeah.
And she was like a boot camp graduate. So just
That's how I got my
apply.
job.
Yeah.
They had like a higher up level. I was really not qualified for that level. They downgraded the level and hired me.
Mhm.
So
I think
do
my
it.
Yeah.
statistic is that of 10 qualifications, women feel like they have to qualify for 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
And men will apply for jobs if they feel like 3 of those
Three, yeah.
fit and don't
Yeah.
qualify.
Yep.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me jump in. I just wanted to
No,
get that
yeah,
out there.
absolutely. Yeah, it's totally the Wild West, which can be frustrating or it can be entirely liberating. I try to take a positive spin on it.
Mhm.
It's super liberating because, like, be whatever. Don't lie. You're not going to lie. I mean, nobody would encourage that, right? But if you get in an interview, like, be truthful, be honest, you're there for a reason. If you have a phone call, like, ask good questions. But, like, it is a huge opportunity space. So if something is speaking to you, you have a light bulb, you're excited about it, like, go with that. And I mean, you also might be meeting with somebody who's like, I don't have a position here, but like that person in that other company, like I'm gonna see them at a meetup and I'm gonna tell them about this person.
Yeah.
So like it's a huge opportunity.
And UX people are super nice and willing to help. I mean, that's our job is to go help users. And so if someone comes to us and says, hey, do you know anybody that I can meet? Most of us are like, yeah. Come to this event and that event and I'll introduce you to this person and that person. Oh, you should meet this person. So.
Can you guys get into a little bit like what you do actually?
Oh yes, we can do that.
Let's do it. These are exciting.
Hot.
I was like clammy in here.
Incubating a child. So. Yeah. I just Okay, so daily work. What skills do you use? What's a good day? So, okay, the reason I put this, like, not what do you do in a typical day? This is a UXer thing. So, like, if you ask somebody about a typical day, you'll get, like, the most boring. Yeah, or, like, just this, like, wash of crap. So, meaningless stuff. So, I threw in there, like, what does a good day look like? What does a not so good day or a really crappy day look like? Or, like, what skills do you rely on? So, you want to start?
Good day is.
You saw the slides.
I know. It's my fault. So a good day is when things kind of go off without a hitch. So I do a lot of planning. It's like 50% of my job. I work with our designers, our visual interaction, UI, marketing, engineering to understand what problems do we think we need to know about, and then I reform them, reshape them. So I write protocols, I develop plans, and then I go execute on them, and I pull people along as I need to. So, usability study, we have an in-house lab. So bringing people in to test out a security keypad because Honeywell makes lots of security systems. Not super exciting, but that's a lot of my day to day. And watching people use these things that we've created, whether it's software, hardware, app, embedded UI, papers, unboxing the whole thing. And it's really cool to see people go through and catch things that we didn't catch because we looked at this 500 times and find more problems and hopefully we know how to fix them. And if I don't know how to fix them, someone else on the team should know how to fix them and then take it back out. So it's always kind of fun when you don't catch everything. A not so good day is when shit hits the fan. It could be anything from, and this isn't really a bad thing, but when we realize what we're making isn't the right thing. And when that's bad is when development's too far along. So boards are made, things have been designed, things have been engineered. You just say, stop, like this doesn't make sense. Like, sorry, ship's down the road, like too late, we're making it anyway. So that can be a more frustrating day, but we can only
in where we can, and if it's too far down the road, make it super usable, and keep telling people, hey, this doesn't make sense. So it's not so good day. So tools I use are a lot of moderation and mediation. So working with our business partners to negotiate different things. We have to give up some things, they have to give up some things. That's kind of how we're going to end up with something that's good at the end of the day. Since Honeywell's such a large company, it's very finance driven, very bottom line, BOM cost driven. So when I say, hey, we need this extra feature, like, how much does that cost? Are we really do that feature?
What will people pay for it?
And you're like, well, you do buy a feature.
Bad day.
Bad day. But also good days working with some just really smart, sharp people that I can learn from, new methods, new tools, finding cool new ways to approach things and bringing back information to our partners. And we get to teach our partners about what we actually do. And they're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Can we work with you guys again? That's a good day.
So could you speak to some specific skills that you use on a daily basis while you're doing that?
Are you talking about tools?
Yeah.
Tools. So researchy tools. A lot of one-on-one interviews with users. So moderation, making sure you're phrasing things properly, not leading the person is a big thing. That especially when we have our business partners in the room with us, because we like to bring them along so that they can learn and witness and see, like, oh no, this doesn't work. We shouldn't be doing this, rather than me going back and telling them this doesn't work. We shouldn't be doing this. And you have to make sure to stop them before they lead questions without disrupting the whole session. So a lot of moderation, note-taking. I still haven't used it, but the Kano method is super cool. So it's a great way to figure out and prioritize different things or features for the product. So if we have a list of features that marketing comes and says, these are the 20 features we should be doing, we can take these features, and it could be anything from, a sensor for this system that does this, and you put that in front of a user and you say, okay, if this was present, how do you feel? Good, bad, or neutral, something like that. And if it's absent, how do you feel? Good, bad, or neutral? And then you triangulate both of the answers, and you do it in a larger number of people. And that will lead you to what's desirable, what's like a baseline, this product must do and have this. What's like an anti-feature, and what's really exciting. So I'm still kind of trying a project to use that on, but usability testing. Kano, K-A-N-O. Usability testing, so rankings, confidence levels, just observational research. So going and watching people do their day-to-day job, which I was like doing that because people are fascinating and never do things the way the book tells them to. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, those are some tools, some things I do.
So it sounds kind of like a lot of like research and psychology and kind of trying to get inside the user's head.
Yes.
Are you, like, when you get a client, are you kind of brought in the beginning to help out with the scoping, ideally, or is that not something that's done? So, like, because the work that I've had with clients is, like, we want this, like, map feature to be like Google, and then this sliding thing, and then you can zoom in like this and zoom out, but then they don't understand, like, really why they need that stuff. They just want it. Like, are you guys kind of brought in the beginning, or like when are you kind of brought in the process, or is it kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly? Like,
It depends.
yeah.
You guys know the answer that, like, the number one answer from a UXer is it depends.
Yeah.
If you want to be a UXer, just answer everything with it depends, and then you'll get that.
She's not maybe lying.
I'm kind of not lying. That should be your answer almost all the time.
But then back it up with an explanation of why.
Yeah.
You can't just say it depends.
So yeah, I mean, I can speak a little bit. Like, so I worked at Honeywell with Megan, but I did consulting work. I was often brought on very early on, so I could question like the why and should we even be making a website, or should we be making a better brand identity for your organization?
Mhm.
But at Honeywell, it totally would depend on what they brought on, like UX resources. So that can lead to the good day, bad day. Like,
Yeah, these two, the boards are meeting, sorry, we're making this.
Yeah.
And it's this launch.
and you have to go through all your, go through the motions of doing all of this stuff that is really, I think, really taxing personally to go into somebody's environment, watch them have difficulty doing things, see very little value, see an opportunity over and over and over again, and know very well that you're not going to be able to make a change, or the changes that you're able to make are very, very limited because of the point you're at in development.
So I can talk about when we're brought in at Robinson. So for those of you who don't know what CH Robinson is, it's a logistics and shipping company. So we produce our own technology for our truck drivers and carriers. So like DHL, UPS, companies like that. So our team is just 2 years old, and so getting the business people on board with what we do is really, really difficult. And we are not invited to strategy meetings. We're basically handed a defined problem and told to, okay, go out, tell us about this. And we recently had a project put on hold where it had been a year that they were working on it. They had high fidelity prototypes, and we're doing research with them to see which one would be better. And the business people were like, oh wait, we actually have 2 problems. And the UXers were like, until you there for a year. And so they were like, oh, well, I guess we can't move forward with this, so we're just going to put this on hold. And so they were just like, Jesus, I hate this.
Yeah.
So that was a really bad day for them. But so we're really struggling with getting UX at the table at the strategy portion, because what we can really help with is helping them define what their problem is. Because a lot of the time the business people are very separated from what the users are doing, and so they have these ideas like, oh, users will go through this thing like this, this, and this, and what they really do is they go here, and then 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 go to the middle part where they think they were supposed to end up. So it depends on where you are as to at what point you're brought in on a project, and it depends too on how new UX practice is to your organization as well. So we have some groups that are like, yeah, UX, we need them on every single project, and we're like, yeah, but we don't really need to be on that project. But okay. And then there's we really need to be in on these strategy meetings, and they're like, no. You just wait till we have the hours. Yeah, it's okay. You don't need to know. But
Which brings me to a skill you need. Resilience.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yes.
So there's a lot of beating your head against the wall, and kind of even if you know the reasonable limitations of what you can do. Like I said, I think just because by your nature you have a high level of empathy, or you're going into somebody else's environment, watching them do something, which instills empathy in you, that you're feeling what they're feeling, and then you're told kind of well, we can't care, and you're like, but now this is on my shoulders, And so knowing how to release that is a challenge, but also being super resilient when you know that you can make an impact, or you still have the ability to make an impact, and just you just get knocked down, you come back up again like a bozo toy or something that just like a punching bag. Life is so good.
well, why did you actually
No, that's why I ended with finding the meaning. I don't know, where are we out of time?
We are at 7:43, so hopefully we can wrap this up around 8-ish,
Yep.
because we have a couple other things just to end up with.
I can describe my role a little bit, since I'm a little bit different from Megan. She's specifically a UX researcher, and I'm on a design team, even though I'm research focused. So basically everybody on my team is called upon to do the same things mostly. It's just that depending on the projects that are spun up, the person who gets put on it might be different depending on what the needs are. So if it's just discovery research, for example, we had a project with our European headquarters in late January where they wanted to figure out what the European logistics market was like, and they wanted to know what technology carriers and drivers are using in Europe and what the barriers are to using an app or a website or things like that. And so this was just discovery research to help inform their next steps, which the stakeholder already knew what his next step was, so it was kind of well, okay, but free trip to Europe, so cool, I'll go. So basically, I went to Europe with a partner, and we interviewed drivers and carriers and various other like project management roles, and watched them use technology in their daily job, and watched them use their apps if they had one, and talk to them about their workflow and how it could be made easier, and what their barriers were to getting their jobs done, what the European market was like. And then we reported that back to the stakeholder, who was just like, I don't care, I'm gonna do what I want anyway. So I was brought in on that role because of my research specialty, and also because I'm bilingual, and one of the countries we went to was Spain. So, but then I was also brought in on a project in December where, at Robinson, sometimes the business analysts do a little bit of design work, and so there was a specific team where the BAs and the devs were working on one specific screen, and the devs thought it should have basically nothing on it except for a button and a hamburger menu. And the BAs were like, but no, this is not what the users want. They want to have like icons so they can see where they are in their workflow. And they were just fighting. And so I was brought in to test the two screens. So I redid the screens in a more high fidelity program. And then I went to the users and brought them out and tested the two different designs. And the BAs won. And so it was just like a little spot project for that. The users won, yeah. In the end, the users won, but in that particular fight, the users won. So, I will use on any given day, there's no, program loyalty. So we all have copies of Sketch and UXer and OmniGraffle and XD and whatever it is we feel like using at the moment we could use.
Do you use XD?
I haven't yet.
Are those design programs?
Yes,
those
Okay.
are, yeah, it's design. It's
Cool.
in the
They're all
suite.
interaction-ish.
Yeah, so you can do wireframes and workflows in all of those. Some of them have more interactivity than others. So if you want to build a wireframe in Sketch, for example, you'd have to if you wanted a clickable prototype, you'd have to upload it into InDesign, which we also have, and you can do.
Or InVision.
Or InVision, that's what I meant. InVision, yeah, InVision. See, there's too many programs.
If you want a list, we can give them to you.
Yeah. So but if you want to use UXer, you can create clickable prototypes just in UXer. There's a bunch of different programs, and it's just whatever you prefer to use at the time, whatever you have access to, or whatever's easiest. So I do a lot of the stuff that Megan does, where I create questionnaires or interview guides. I go out, do the interviews, I analyze the data that I get from the interviews and the contextual inquiry, and then report that back. Or I can sit there and work on screens and then present those back, or take them out to users and show them to users and see what they think of the screens. So it really depends on the role in the day too, yeah. I also do facilitation. Some of our designers do some workshop facilitation, and so I do some of that in my role as well. Partially, I look out for opportunities to do stuff like that because I like teaching, so it kind of scratches that teaching itch for me. But so that's another thing that you could possibly do in a UX designer or UX role.
At Honeywell, the researchers tend to lead a lot of the workshops just because we are skilled in moderating and tempering some emotional people sometimes.
Mediation.
It's kind of like being a therapist.
Love it.
But you don't get the deep, I'm cheating on my spells.
Maybe
so.
So if you, say if one of us got an interview for a UX position, what type of questions would we expect they would ask us?
It depends.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of. I've had very few interviews.
I can answer it.
Yeah, you've had more.
Yeah, so basically because I had a weird background, they're like, what is this about? Tell me about your career trajectory. So one interesting thing about my interview with Robinson, it was a two-part interview. The first part, I came in with 3 other candidates, and we did a multi-phase role play of a project. And so the 4 of us were paired with each other, and each person was paired with the other person for 4 different phases. So we got to work with each of the other candidates. And so the role play was that we were meeting with a restaurant owner who wanted to design table interfaces for ordering. But we also had to take the servers into consideration because it was like a family-style restaurant, so they didn't want to fire the servers. And so the first phase was going around interviewing the server and the restaurant owner and getting the requirements from the restaurant owner, but also listening to the server and hearing their concerns about how they could still maintain their job. And then we interviewed customers, and so got some feedback on some initial designs from the customers, and then we did some mock-ups and things like that, and at the end we presented our designs back to the whole UX team, which was the stakeholders or whatever, and we're asking questions like, oh, why did you put that there? Or if there's one thing that you would want to test with users in that sketch that you have, what would it be and why?
You can guarantee you'll be asked, blah, 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 why? Da, 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 why? Because it's a lot about like your brain and your rationale and your thought process.
Yeah.
So it's not about being right necessarily. Like I'd say the best practitioners have keep their egos in check. You'll find a few, but I don't know many that have exploded egos. But they'll want to know. It's like I don't really care what the thing was at the end.
Yeah.
But what did you do? Why? What impact did it have? Why? Why did you make that decision? What were the trade-offs? Like what results did you see?
Is a big thing because it goes on like your thought process.
Yeah.
How you approach problems. That's what they're looking for.
So it sounds like, sorry to keep interrupting
No.
or interjecting. So I always thought, because I honestly didn't know much about UX, and I've worked with a UXer, and like mainly my interaction with him as a developer is that he gives me like SVG files to place into the, like he, creates the designs for the graphic user interface, and gives me the SVG files to basically make my code match his designs.
Yeah.
But I know that he's in meetings with the clients all day long, and basically the client at first had like one big button, and it did all this stuff, and you could just press the button, and all this magic happened.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's been working closely with the client to try to make the design as simple as the button, but still encapsulate everything that they're doing. So it sounds like it's a lot more people stuff, like
It's very
way
people
more
stuff.
softer skills, like people interactions than I ever really imagined. Less designing, but like still designing, but really thinking more about it. Like, is that kind of
Once you
sound
know what you
like
need
on the
to
right
make.
path?
Yeah. Once you know what you need to make, execution takes time.
Yeah.
But it's a clear path, But if you don't know what you need to make and you don't know the technical constraints that you're working within and the business requirements, it's a lot of mediation, a lot of horse trading, we would say. Like depending on the business environment, at Honeywell, it's a ton of horse trading. Like, we'll give you that if you give us back this. Like, okay. What we're advocating for is the user's experience with an acknowledgement of the other constraints in the system.
Yeah.
And then it's also really important to know how to ask the right questions to get the information you need to make decisions on those designs.
Cool.
Asking someone what they want is not the way
No.
to approach it because you're going to tell you what they're familiar with, whereas like framing the question completely differently as like, what does a good day look like for you? What does not so good day look like for you? Is a much more emotional. You'll get better answers, more accurate answers rather than what they think they want.
And asking them stuff like, if you're showing them a design and they're like, well, what's that button? Well, what do you think it is? What do you expect it to do?
A lot of tricky questions
Tricky
back on them, which
Yeah.
you need to do nicely, otherwise they get mad. Just tell them you're done.
I'll tell you at the end.
Cool. Yeah, it's way more like
it's a lot
like
of people.
yeah, that's
A
super
lot of
interesting.
psychology.
What's something that you guys wish that the dev team understood more about your position?
So I'm fortunate to work with a lot of great developers. The UI devs on my team are awesome, and they totally get what UX is. There are some that don't, like the ones that I had to mediate for. I wish they understood that just because it looked nice to them doesn't mean that that's what's going to work for the user. So what I heard a lot from the dev team on that one short project that I did was, but it's not clean if you have this up here. It makes sense to me. Okay, well that's great, but that's you, and you're not our target user, right? Like, our target user needs to understand this, and they just did not want to hear that. They wanted it to look the way they wanted it to look. So I wish they understood that we're not developing stuff for them necessarily. We're developing it for our customers.
We are not typical users.
Yeah.
None of us.
And even
Yeah.
if you are, you should take yourself out of the
Yeah. Did you guys see that Silicon Valley episode?
Oh gosh, that show.
Stop watching.
Yeah, we had to stop. It was
Too close to home.
yeah. It was not. It was not. We were like everybody. Yeah. We were like, no, I can't watch it.
Well, I don't want to take up any other time, but if you're wondering about it, come ask me.
Yeah. You want us to go on a rant? But I would answer that. So my best experiences that I've had working with developers have been where we've been working together, and like I think, hi Sam. I think if you have the ability to brainstorm together, to review a wireframe together, like to come to the table together as partners, and like because ultimately everybody wants the thing they're making to be successful and to work. Like I don't think there's a developer who wants to spend 2,000 hours making something that is broken. And if a person can't use it to the degree that it's supposed to be used, it's broken, right? So because when I've worked on some contract work or freelance work with a developer, actually we would work here at times, like years ago, I'd be like, I really want to do this. I found through research, like users want to do this is the problem, this is the challenge, here's some ways I've seen it be done. And you'd be like, oh, I know this other library we could use, or we could do it this way. I'm like, great, show me, yes, that. So it's like a lot of finishing each other's sentences and working together, because hopefully developers understand the development environment, the possibilities of the tools that you have at your disposal, or the libraries, or whatever the technical terms are. And if you are both arranged around a goal, then you should, like a UXer can't help but propose a way to do it, because they've seen patterns over and over again, they have an idea, but like keeping that in check is like, it doesn't have to be exactly this way, I just want to meet this goal. And a developer coming to that and saying like, I see what you're trying to do, I have a few different ways we can try that, and then testing it and like getting the user's input on it and being like, yes, let's do this. I think that to me is the best working relationship you can have. And not being like a throw it on the fence, throw it back. It's like, I think businesses are pitching this against each other when we're on the same team.
I agree 100%. Yeah, don't take, especially from like, I focus solely on research, so if I say like, oh, it can be done this way, if you have a better idea, please. Like I don't know all the answers, but I can tell you what the problems are. If you show me a solution, you can be like, actually, I've seen it done that way, and then not a good idea, or that's awesome, let's figure out what works.
Yeah. It's really fun to work together.
It is.
The bad news is we're not working together. I think this is. See, I was trying to end on a positive note. Because I knew we might go down a rabbit hole. But, I don't know, just maybe like including why you do what you do.
I love talking to people. I like figuring out what it is they need and how I can help create something that fits their needs, but also fits the business's needs. And as Sam said earlier, that translation of the two things. And we talked about mediating. It's really satisfying when you go out and you talk to users and you get their trust and they start telling you stuff. And even if you can't do everything that they say they really need to do their job, if you bring it back to the business, they're like, I had no idea that was an issue. Yeah, we can work on that. Like I just had a quick win the other day where I went and talked to users, account managers, and sales reps about how they do rail quoting, because it's not a huge part of the business right now. And there's this like really involved process in getting a rail quote for a customer where you have to send some information to the rail quoting team, and then 2 hours later they send something back. But what they never send back is the transit time of the load. And so the users were telling me, I hate that this is not there. Watch what I have to do to get the transit time. So they have to go to like the central work site and then search for an Excel file that's updated weekly, look for the on-ramp and see if it's there. If it's there, hooray. If it's not, they have to like guess at a close ramp and hope that it's not too far away. And then do that all again to find the off-ramp, to try to calculate the transit time. And it's like 5 screens each step just to get a ramp and then the other ramp, and then they have to calculate it. And he's like, I know they had that information. Why don't they just give it to me? And so when I presented this back to the stakeholders, they're like, yeah, why aren't they giving that to us? We can make that change. That'll make them happy. And I'm like, great, awesome. So yeah, it's stuff like that where you know that you're making someone's day way easier with just a little change like that. And then also hearing all the people just start talking to you when you go out and do field research. Like I had one guy in Spain, he's like, I'm really old, I don't like my cell phone, I wouldn't have it if I didn't need it. And then he's like, oh look, here's my son, doesn't he look like so-and-so? And I'm like, sure. He's cute. He's like, yeah, here are my grandkids. And he just like started showing me all these pictures, and I'm like, all right.
People are great.
And then I had another person who told me, he's like, you want to know what kind of stuff I haul? I'm like, sure. And he's like, slime. I was like, what do you mean slime? He's like, you know, like Nickelodeon slime? I'm like, really? Yeah, I also haul fuselages because I do props for movies and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then I also heard about why cake sprinkles are not a good product to ship on rail because when the container breaks, you get ants. So, I mean, it's stuff like that. You just learn so much interesting stuff about people and about stuff that, like, I never even thought that anyone would try to ship sprinkles in my rail. I just have an image of a giant container full of sprinkles, and like, if the train falls off the tracks and it breaks open, there's just like sprinkles everywhere. So, that's super fun. I love that stuff. Oh my God.
I find people fascinating. I don't think I'll ever be bored of my job because I'm always going in, finding new problems, talking to people. I love talking to people. And trying to figure out, like, even if they can't articulate what their issues are, trying to figure out a way to say that for them, and being an advocate for them. And Honeywell is a very, very old company, and there are people there that I've been designing this for 40 years, way before you were thought of or born. But then I can come to them and be like, look, like, here are videos, here are quotes of people using your products. Like, it's not perfect. I'm sorry. Your job, it's not perfect.
Sorry, Grandpa.
But then, like, helping and working with our designers to figure out, like, how to improve it, what are different approaches, different ways we can think about this. Can we not have a traditional security system that beeps at you every time you walk in your door and just scares living daylights out of you? And how can we create better experiences for people? So, lots of good.
Yeah, all that they said. And I think, like, this, I'll get on my soapbox, but, like, obviously, I think the world could benefit from a little bit more understanding of people. And the jobs people have, the things that they do every day, like, and people are not stupid. You know, like, there's this, like, oh, people, you know, that's just for the stupid people that can't figure out how to use this. Or, like, I mean, people don't really say that, but, like, you see the great lengths people go to solve a problem, and they're incredibly resilient, and you just want to make their lives a little bit better, but you learn, like, I've become a pain in the ass wife or friend because I always think there's, like, something deeper behind the thing. I'm like, oh, but well, why did that person flip you off in the car? Or, like, maybe they're in labor, or, like, and my husband's always like, why do you have to take the other person's side all the time? I'm like, because there's always another side to the story. Like, you know, you see firsthand that there's, like, the thing you thought and then the reality. And when you're trying to, like, meet a goal, you want to learn that disconnect so you can reach that goal. Like, I like feeling like I met a goal and I've solved a problem. And doing research can really help you get there. But also being able to, like, fail, prototype, try things, like, let go of the fear of, like, being perfect. Because I, as a child and youth and even early teenager, was, like, all about perfection and pixels and whatever. And I'm like, screw it. Like, let's just try something. It's not ever going to be perfect because I've looked at things in the field and they are never perfect. But, like, let's just try to make things better. I think it's a field that allows you to try and try to achieve a goal a million different ways.
And the cool thing about research is even if it doesn't go the way you thought it was going to go, you can still learn something
You
from
learn
it.
something all the time.
Negative data is still data.
Yeah. Always learning. It's even orange for burning.
Nice.
Anything else we didn't cover?
Can any of us contact you guys on LinkedIn?
Sure.
Cool. And if you'd like to, please feel free to write an email up there if you'd like if anybody could email you about any burning questions they might think of later.
Yep.
Awesome.
My email's on LinkedIn, so you can always contact me there.
Cool.
The firewall at my work kind of sucks, so I can only send messages via LinkedIn during the workday, and I forget about my email at night sometimes. So that's a good way to practice.
And all their full names are on the Meetup. If you are wondering about their names, they're all on there.
Yeah, you don't have to try to remember my last name.
Cool. Thank you so much, you guys. Really appreciate it. All right, so real quick before we end, I just have a couple more housekeeping things I forgot to mention earlier. So SDG Solution Design Group, which is also, full disclosure, where I work, they usually have a recruiter here that likes to come to these. They wanted to let everybody know that they're looking for Java developers. If you're interested in that at all, there's an email address up there. If you're looking for jobs, Caroline had to leave, but she runs a company specifically aimed at helping getting people into the workforce. Her email is there as well. My email is there if anybody ever has any ideas for future Geekettes events. If you want to do like a lightning talk on something you've been working on, or do a whole presentation, or if you know of someone or have an idea or would like to see something more, please feel free to email me and let me know. And then we have one last thing. We have our Front-End Masters giveaway. So we have 2 Front-End Masters subscriptions to give away. And I'm going to go super low tech on this because I don't have email addresses and I didn't keep track of who was here. So if you would like to be entered, let's just number off, and then I'm going to just do a little random number finder. If you guys would like, do you want to get in on this? You good? All right, so we'll just start with you right here. We'll do 1 and then just count around. So 1,
2, 3, 4.